You know how I know that hypnotism is fake?
Oh.
Because if it worked, you would have hypnotized yourself into writing a good book.
Yeah.
Welcome to Between Two Perns. My name is Jackson Dickert, and I'm joined here by epic fantasy author Natalie Wright. How's it going, Natalie?
It's going well.
You were inspired to write your first book, Emily's House, in a hypnosis session. A hypnosis session that was supposed to help you lose your baby weight.
Yeah.
During the session, you saw a gold object hovering over green hills, and the image stuck with you. You had a breakthrough when you saw a photo of an ancient Celtic torque, which led you to figuring out the plot of the rest of the book.
Right.
Only you couldn't quite complete the first draft of the novel.
Right.
You got stuck and realized that you needed to go to Ireland to crack the rest.
Right.
So you spent 4 hours solidifying this intention.
Right.
The next day you were in a car and you heard about a giveaway for a trip to Ireland, so you signed up for it and you actually ended up winning a free trip to Ireland. You actually manifested it.
Yes.
Imagine how many drafts you could write if you spent less time manifesting and more time writing.
Or I would write so much more if I could spend more time manifesting and less time researching, thinking.
Do you think that you're going to be punished in the afterlife for interfering with people's free will to further your own selfish goals?
I don't know. I feel like I'm already probably being punished. But no, if there's an afterlife, I feel very good about what's going to happen in my afterlife.
Okay. Even though you manipulated other people's free will for your own gain.
Well, did they have free will?
Is this about to be like a simulation discussion?
I don't know that I manipulate other people's free will. I think I'm just kind of syncing up with the vibes where free will matches my own. Does that make sense?
This is an awesome video of a brain cell undergoing apoptosis, also known as programmed cell death.
Is your favorite color Mercury in retrograde?
Astrology is totally bunk. Okay, let's get clear about that. That's no. It
was on your website that you had consulted your
Well, that might have
chart.
been the 2002 me, but the 2024 me does not consult astrological charts.
Okay.
At all.
Does she still do like the hypnotism and stuff?
No, not so much. Now, feng shui, that's where it's at.
You and my mom would really get along. For as much as I want to make fun of you for it, Emily's House ended up getting 2.1 million reads on Wattpad.
Yeah.
Do you ever regret letting 2.1 million people read it for free? I mean, if you published it properly to begin with, then you'd be a millionaire by now.
Probably not. No, sometimes I do think there is something into synchronicity, being right place, right time with the right thing. It was shopped around to editors and they said no one wanted to read a story about a 14-year-old girl who was the last witch who had ancient Celtic magic, goddess mythology. They're like, no one wants that. So, of course, the witches of TikTok didn't exist yet, so they couldn't have known that there would be millions of people worldwide that hone into this one potential, this one concept. But I did, so.
So you're a victim of being ahead of your time.
Or just, I don't know. Maybe, I'd go right broomstick, right time, it's so.
You wrote the first draft of Emily's Trial during National Novel Writing Month in November.
I did. Yeah.
The goal of NaNoWriMo is to write 50,000 words in 30 days. And you achieved that goal by writing almost 10,000 words on the last day, which, if you don't mind me saying so, really shows in the final product.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Even crazier, you wrote those final 10K words on your last day by hand with pen and paper, which makes you a truly special kind of masochist. But you said you couldn't hold a pen for 2 days afterward, and that even a year later, you still had an ass cramp from that writing session.
Right.
So I wanted to ask you.
Yeah, do I still have an ass cramp?
Do you still have an ass cramp?
Well, you're kind of becoming my ass cramp right now, but other than that, no, we're good.
Okay. I didn't make you write 10,000 words with pen and paper, but sure, take it out on me. That's fine. I was so confused why anyone would ever use pen and paper to write 10,000 words. And then I found out that you only write new material for a book on moleskin notebooks with a Dr. Grit pen.
Yes, that was a while ago, but at that time, that's the way that I wrote, yes.
Okay. And at that time, did you have to try being pretentious, or did it just come naturally?
I think it comes very naturally to me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say it's a gift that's just ingrained. Yeah.
I don't know if I'd call it a gift. That's not the only unusual aspect of your process, though.
Mm-hmm.
You operate on something you call the saturate and distill method. You take in loads of information and you let it tumble around inside your head for a while, and when info is sufficiently distilled, you get inspired and puke up stuff onto the page in your own words. I wasn't sure what you meant by this method until I tried reading your books for the first time and truly came to understand what you meant by the words on the page being vomit.
All of the stuff you're asking right now refers to my early works, and I would say that vomit might be accurate. In fact, I think there's a scene where someone does vomit, more than one scene, but yeah. It was more the old school method.
Okay.
I think I've progressed a little bit past vomit since then.
Like it's a suspicious burp, like it might lead to vomit.
Yeah, I would say it's more like that.
You've written creatively for a while, but put aside your pen and began a career as a lawyer. You say that after you had a baby, everything changed, that your creative energy was unleashed and you began thinking about stories and started writing again. Do you think having a child is the best way to overcome writer's block?
It's not what I recommend for sure. No, I would generally not recommend that.
The writing has not been going well.
Well, you might want to try. Get knocked up, see what happens.
I'll try that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You wrote a YA novel called Half Nine, and the alien the teens discover is a half-human, half-gray alien.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you could take a page out of Chuck Tingle's book with this and write a new version of this book that really leans into the crossbreeding angle.
Well, maybe. But I kind of like, I did it and it's done and I've moved on. And I went to Alien Con and people were accusing me of getting it wrong because they had been abducted and I'd had it all wrong. And then other people wanted to know if it was nonfiction. And when I said that it wasn't, they argued with me. So I decided I was going to stop writing about aliens.
Yeah, I guess that would...
So I'm like, I'm going to go write about dragons.
Yeah.
But then people are upset that I don't have more dragon sex in my dragon books.
It's expected.
So I'm kind of like, I don't know.
I guess you could always just quit.
I could.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to.
In an interview with LiteraryTitan.com, you said that you were inspired to give Half Nine the powers that he has from your research into real top-secret military project called Project Stargate. It was started in the 1970s, and the purpose was to research the potential of psychic warfare. Do you think the government should study the detrimental psychic effects that your books have on the human mind?
I think that would be really an area of good research. Absolutely.
And then you said while writing the book that you had to assume that all real-world alien myths and legends are true for your world building.
That is what I did. I just assumed it's true. So when I was in the Roswell Museum reading all the research, just kind of taking it in, I'm like, okay, for my story, as like backstory, this is the backstory. I just kind of assumed that's true and put my story in that world.
So, canonically, in this book, aliens are probing people through their...
Probably, I don't, somewhere in that universe that's happening. I don't choose to write about that.
Yeah.
But if you want to imagine it, maybe that's, what you want to see.
Yeah, that's what I prefer to read.
Well, I'm not going to write that for you.
Okay. Please?
No.
Come on.
You're going to have to use your own imagination with that.
Right now?
Preferably not right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it later. So in your most recent book, however, it's an epic fantasy called Season of the Dragon. It's extremely well reviewed.
Thank you.
It's won awards, and Ingram and Bookshop.org named it a top 10 indie epic fantasy novel for the year it was published. First of all, this book has poems and songs between some of its chapters. Natalie, you're aware that everybody skips those, right? They're just more boring versions of prologues.
That's the best part.
No, it's not.
No? Don't skip that.
I didn't read any of it. I started to. I got bored.
Okay.
Turned the page.
All right.
Don't do it again.
I'm going to do it again.
Please don't.
I'm going to. In fact, the fact that you don't want me to makes me want to do more. I think I'm going to double it in the next book. And I'm going to dedicate it to you.
Don't do that. Don't put my name on that. Early in the book, the main character, Quinn, gets stuck in a sandstorm, only it's not called a sandstorm. Now, in fantasy novels, it's apparently not enough to make up new, stupid curse words. You took things a step further by giving sandstorms, of all things, a stupid name.
That's not a made-up word.
A haboob?
That is not a made-up word.
A haboob is a real word?
Haboob is a real word. Dictionary?
Never.
You don't never heard of her?
No.
Well,
that's a woman?
You can Google it, or you can go to a thing like dictionary.com and you can look up words. Any word. And if it is a real word that's in the English language, it will be in there.
Is this just an ad? Are you paid off by Big Dictionary?
No. But haboob is a real word, which granted, I make up so many words for the secondary world fantasy that I write that one could get confused. But haboob is a real word. If you live in the desert, you know about it, because if you drive along I-10, it will fuck you up when it comes along. They're huge sandstorms, and we actually have them in Arizona.
Okay, well, me and a significant other part of your male readership.
I know the East Coast people think that they know everything because on the East Coast they don't know. But if you live in the desert Southwest, haboob is a thing. It's called a haboob, and it's real.
Okay.
And it will fuck you up.
Well, like I said, me and the rest of your male readership, every time we read the word haboob, it breaks my immersion. And I'm no longer picturing sandstorms, but something else entirely. It took me 20 minutes to get through a page that had the word haboob written on it 4 times, because it's a terrible idea to try to keep your most important readers, the male ones, engaged, because we start thinking about boobs. That's it. You've lost us. We're not interested in reading anymore. Who cares about the sandstorm? There's boobs.
I feel like that's a victory for me, though, because if I sparked your imagination, I mean, you should be thanking me. I gave you a gift.
Sexy sandstorms.
You had 20 minutes of sexy sandstorms. Oh, what are you complaining about?
I don't know, actually. That's a great point.
Right?
Okay, keep doing that.
Okay.
No poems, more sexy sandstorms.
Okay. Now can I dedicate it to you?
Just the boob part.
Okay. All right.
At one point, Quinn comes to a place called the Menagerie, where she is waited on by 2 women who had their tongues cut out.
Yeah.
I usually hate when authors try to impress their political opinions on me while I'm reading, but you really changed my mind on some things.
Yeah.
For instance, before reading the book, I believed in women's rights.
Yeah.
But the more I read about the women who had their tongues cut out, the more I started to see things your way, and what a good idea that truly was. What was the event that caused you to believe that women should be seen and not heard?
Well, I wouldn't say that's what I would take away from it. So I think it says more about the reader than me, but okay, you do you.
I'm usually right. Like so much of the time, like almost all the time, maybe even all the time, I'm right.
Right. Right. Well, later though, they talk about why they do that. And it has nothing to do with their speech per se.
Was that in a poem? Because I might have skipped it.
No, it was during the feast, but you might have been, oh, I know why you didn't get that part, because there are also women without tops on dancing.
I remember that part.
Yeah, see, so you got distracted.
That part was good.
Okay, yeah. Well, the exalted takes from people that which they might gain pleasure from. So women without their tongues, they can't then give that pleasure, or, right? So
Sorry, you said topless chicks
Yeah,
dancing and you
were
lost
still,
me.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll move along then. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
The main character has 2 different colored eyes, daddy issues, and may or not be as scaly.
Right.
Do you think that these qualities have helped your book connect better with quirky Gen Z audiences?
I don't know. I think you'd have to ask them. It seems to appeal to a variety of people, but I think Gwen is an outsider. I think that's what people probably relate to about her.
Oh, not me.
Oh,
I'm an insider.
I see. You know, the people who don't quite fit in.
I fit in.
You fit in?
I fit in so good.
Okay. All right.
I've never had problems fitting in.
All right. I believe you. Sure, whatever you say.
The ending
Yeah.
of this book is wild. I don't want to spoil it because I genuinely did not expect it at all. The only thing I'm going to ask is, for years, we've suffered through fantasy books that have very few living dragons. And you hardly get to see any dragons in a book that's touted about as being about dragons. Are you really about to write an entire book series that has tons of dragons in it?
Yes.
Aren't you afraid that people might get bored of the dragons if there's too many?
No. I spent a lot of years at Comic-Cons. And if like, I don't know, like hundreds of hours hanging out with people at Comic-Cons has taught me anything, is they do not get tired of dragons. Ever.
Kind of like me and topless chicks.
Exactly.